Hey guys, here we are, the Quiggin Out MMA Podcast, episode 69. I'll explain that later. And I've got a very special guest with me, somebody that we've been trying to get on the show for a long time, and she's just so damn elusive, so busy
No.
doing everything in the world, and recent black belt recipient, the one, the only Black Widow, Jessica Borga. How you doing?
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, fitting me
Hey.
in. My schedule is, I will give you mad credit on that one though, because my schedule stays insane. So,
Oh, I've seen it. I've seen it. Like, just talking that over, like, I know you just got your black belt in the last week or two. So, like, talk about that experience first off, right off the bat, because
I
I
can't
don't think you
even.
knew it was coming.
I didn't. I mean, I've been in the sport for 8.5 years, and that's actually really fast to get a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, I do learn fast, but it's just an honor. It's one of my highest goals that I've had for Jiu-Jitsu. It's definitely my strong point in anything. Yes, I have more knockouts, but that's because I have a powerful punch. I'm way more technical on the ground, and I enjoy the challenge and everything about jiu-jitsu. So it's definitely an honor that I received my black belt. It's amazing.
Well, and to be training with somebody like Professor Ross Kellen, somebody who has, is one of the staple jujitsu people in the state of Florida, one of the first ones, going up there with the Rob Khan and, um, you
Which is
know,
awesome. They're both awesome.
yeah. So
Rob
talk about
Khan,
what,
man, his posts are hilarious.
oh man, Rob Khan gets himself in trouble. I love you, Hobby. I love you, but man,
I love it though. He gives no fucks. Just not at all. I love it. I mean, you know that I'm the same way. So like, it's hilarious.
yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So Rob Khan once again getting a shout out on the show when he's not even on it. So we'll get him on here eventually, eventually.
I'll have to
But
put a bug in his ear about listening to the show.
he's gonna be
But
like, "Why is
yes,
everybody telling me to listen to this show? What's going on with this?"
I told him he should start his own podcast too. You know how many people would get a laugh at everything that
Oh
he has to
God.
say.
Oh
But yes, you're right. To learn from Ross Kellen, I've just noticed, even with me just going and cross training at other schools and stuff like that, I can tell the level of that I am at compared to other schools just because of the school that I'm at. To be honest, I know it's not as big at American Top Team, and it's not as big of a name, but our jiu-jitsu is good. That's what we're known for a reason. So
yeah.
I do love it.
And Ross's kids are scary, no
Yeah.
matter what they're doing. I guess when your dad's Ross Kellen, like you're like, oh yeah, I don't really
And
have a
we
choice.
might not be a big name, but I'd beat everyone from American Top Team that I've ever fought, and it's always been in the first round. So names don't mean jack. I like being the underdog. I've always been the underdog.
Well, we talk about the jujitsu, obviously the accolades that you got there, but your most recent, competing style was in BKFC. So talk about that, and are we going to see you back? Because I'm seeing some post about, like, I don't want to say free agency, but it seems like BKFC is a lot more lenient when it comes to, if you want to just go do something, go do it. Just make sure you show up on fight night.
Yeah, that they are really good about. You can still do MMA with being contracted with them. I'm actually not. I only did a one fight contract with them, but I am trying to get a fight right now, hopefully for July for BKFC.
Ooh.
So I'm hoping it's nothing in set in stone yet or anything, but that's what I'm working towards. I'm excited. I mean, I'm not done with MMA either. So that I'm just BKFC is. I loved it. I'm definitely not done with MMA because I do love putting it all together. But
Well,
that
especially just
BKFC brought
getting
me
your
back.
black belt.
Yeah, definitely.
I honestly think one of the funniest things I've seen recently is people getting their black belt and competing in BKFC, because in your mind you're like, I just want to take him down. Like, just let me do an armbar, please.
You know what's funny is I didn't even have that thought. So when I first started, I was a stupid bar brawler. Like I fought on the streets and I wanted to stand and bang. That's actually what when I first started with my amateur career and everything, I was knocking them out in the first round. Like they knew me as a stand-up fighter. But then my jiu-jitsu started getting good and I kind of surprised them, was like, hey, haha, by the way, I do know ground stuff too. So it's funny. It kind of the BKFC, boxing in general, especially bare knuckle,
Yeah.
went and took me back to my rowdy days, and I missed it. So don't get me wrong, I liked it a lot.
Well, and then that's what everybody seems. You see how much fun, people are having, and then you've got, the Chad Mendez coming into BKFC, Luke Rockhold, and
So
like,
many people.
Mike Perry, and obviously, this weekend. I'm going to say this weekend. The show's probably not going to come out till after, but you've got the BKFC women's fight, the Beck Rollins and Christine Ferreira. That's
Yeah,
going to be a good fight. So
it is going to be a very good fight.
what we'll do is we'll just have you say predictions for either winner, and then we'll just cut out to the one that it did.
Honestly, I think Ferrer is going to hold the title. I kind of favor her anyway. She's a great fighter. I like her. And I'm kind of going towards Luke.
Ooh.
I just because I kind of favor. If I like them more as a fighter, even if I don't think that they might not like make it or win, I'm still gonna pick them.
Well, and I think that comes with the territory of being a fan and being a practitioner. Is you're like, well, I really
Yeah.
want this guy to win, and I think
Right.
he can win, but I don't think he's gonna win.
Right. I do think that he has a chance of winning though. Like, I just it could go either way, honestly.
Yeah. So talk about like that journey up through amateur, because like you said, you started as a brawler, and I mean, recently you've been all over the place. You've been kind of, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but
A true
a lot of
mixed
people
martial
like,
artist.
yeah, exactly. Like that you're literally fulfilling the definition.
I'm
Even
trying to
though
compete as often as I can in all the martial arts. I'm just trying to get as much competing as I can for as long as I can. So, like, I did the IBJJF, which was my first time in gi too. So, like, I'm more of a no gi, obviously, for MMA. I'm more of a no gi player. But, doing things that like gi, which we do train in, it just isn't my forte. But going into their home and their territory with that compete, only that, I love it. So it's like a challenge for me. It's like, oh, I want to beat you at your own game.
so do you think that so how did you do?
I
So I
did.
got
I did good. I won my first match. Lost to the girl that won first place overall by only points. So it wasn't too bad, but because I lost against her, I didn't get to go against the second place girl. And I saw her compete, and I was like, ooh, I could have beat her. I could have at least got second place, but I got third place in the world, and it's like the second biggest jiu-jitsu tournament in the world. So
Mhm.
it was the Pans. So I can't beat myself up too much because I literally probably trained gi for 4 weeks. Specifically gi for
I mean,
4 weeks
that's
leading
kind of
up to it.
embarrassing, but yeah. You're like, yeah, I beat them. How would you beat? Well, 4 weeks,
Yeah, I
give
only
or
did it
take.
for 4 weeks.
Well, and I'm kind of gonna have us go backwards, but talk about like the ceremony itself and the surprise, because I got to see the video, and
Oh,
there's generally like people know when they're gonna get it. They're like, I'm getting it in December, like that's when the promotion ceremony is, and I felt like there was a genuine shock when it came to yours. So talk about like how that day and that experience.
that was my stepdaughter. It was,
You're like, and
it
kid.
was. I'm a crybaby when it comes to things that I've literally had blood, sweat, and tears, and the passion I have for the sport, which you could tell if you listen to the video of what all my coach said. I have put in so much effort, so much time, so much sacrifices in everything that I've done for this sport and jiu-jitsu in particular, because that's what we mainly focus, on, except for when
Mhm.
I go to boxing now. But it's something that I'm so passionate about. Like when he was just talking about our entire pretty much history of in the last 8.5 years of everything that we've done, traveling the world and everything, all the injuries, surgeries, everything that I've been through, and being a mother, and having to, go back down to part-time instead of full-time job and making those sacrifices that aren't easy. It made
Mm-mm.
it all worth it. In that moment, it made everything worth it. And I know when you get your black belt, It's just the beginning. It's like you're like a white belt again. It's going to
Yeah.
be a whole nother series of challenges and stuff, but I'm so ready for it. I'm excited. I don't
Listen,
know if you ever think that you're fully ready for a black belt. That's the thing. Is like you don't ever really think that like, oh, am I mentally like, I can still be a hothead sometimes. I can still get upset when I get tapped out sometimes. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, am I ready? He's not gonna do that, is he? He's not gonna give me one, is he? Like,
you're
but
like,
at the same time, you have to trust your coaches, their judgment, especially Ross Kelly. He does not give out belts freely.
no.
You have to deserve that.
No, absolutely. And it's so funny because you see the video and like you said, it makes everything worth it because you're having to sacrifice a lot and having the support not only of your gym family, but your actual family. And in that moment, and I've said it before, and I'm sure somebody famous probably said it, but I like to say it. It's every black belt has forgotten something that a white belt just learned.
That's
And I
true.
feel like that just resonates so much, and that's how I felt getting my blue belt. I'm like, "He's not giving it to me. No, 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 I don't no, 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 I'm not
I don't
ready,
think you
no."
ever feel like you're ready.
I was like, "Can I give it back?"
Yeah. Yeah, and it's been so weird, standing at the front of the class and like, and I already had a target on my back if I go and cross train at other schools anyway. So, I
Yeah,
was already the Bellator fighter, the one that's known for jiu-jitsu. Like, I already have a target on my back, but now it's just a bigger one, which is fine.
yeah, a really big one now, and I'm glad you brought up the Bellator because that was another thing. So, putting in there, the time that you spend in Bellator. So talk about that experience getting to fight, like you said, all over the world.
I
Um,
love Bellator is amazing. They treated me amazing. The only thing that I didn't like, and the reason why I got out of my contract, because I had a 4-fight contract and I had only done 3 out of the 4, is that I was waiting around for a fight. I can't technically blame them because my last 2 performances was not me at all. I had a lot of health issues and surgeries in between those 2 fights that caused me not to be my best. And, I did what I could, but it wasn't me and it wasn't a good performance. So, and I know that. I'm okay admitting that. But my first fight with them was awesome. Like,
yeah,
it was great. Then
that
3 years
armbar.
off of COVID. Yeah, yeah. The 3 years of COVID shut everything down. And then I come back and I had, not knowing I had these health issues until like I fought and I'm like, what the hell was that? Like, that's not me at all. And then I, go in to have 2 different surgeries, almost died twice in the hospital. And as soon as I got cleared from those 2 surgeries and almost dying in the hospital, and I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, I got word of the biggest fight of my career being on the co-main event in London for Bellator. And I was like, well, here we go. Most people would have probably said no to the fight, but I learned so much about myself, challenging myself when I know I'm not 100%. So
Yeah.
yes, I might have taken losses. I've taken, but even at me, like not nearly as good as I could have been. I only lost decision against top to contenders. So yeah, it might have not been great at performance, but I didn't do too bad either. Like,
Listen, people lose sight of that because just like you said, only losing to points in the pants and then only losing decisions. Yeah, people say, "Oh, you got dominated for 3 rounds or it wasn't a competitive." Like they'll find something to say about it, but knowing
always.
you weren't 100%, that's kind of part of the MMA game. So talk about like, has there
Yeah.
ever been a time where you went, "I can't do it. I can't."
No, that's actually probably my downfall, which I've actually been told by a number of people that is the stupidest thing that I do. Is I literally can be injured bad. I actually had 2 bilateral like knee issues a long time ago. Just grade 2 sprains, but both of them, like where I couldn't move laterally each direction, like for a long time. And I actually had a fight with someone that was booked. It was the girl that pulled out because she actually broke her thumb. So it was a blessing in disguise that she broke her thumb because I was gonna go like I even told my coach, well, they're gonna have to freaking roll me into the cage. I stupidly take that's probably why my record's not spotted. Like it's spotless. It's spotted, ups and downs because I'm gonna fight you. I'm a true fighter. I'm gonna show up. Like What's the worst that's gonna happen? I'm gonna take a loss, or you're gonna break something on me. I've already had that done. Good luck.
And that's kind of a scary mentality to have because, like you said, you're not just some like 23-year-old with no cares. Like, no, you've got a family, you've got
It
a
is.
career, you've got things in your life that depend, and it's kind of dangerous. But it goes with the Black Widow, so we'll go right into that. And
It's a double-edged sword. For sure. For sure. My coaches, like, that's one of the main things that they say is like, your aggression, your like everything is, I've learned to tame it down like a little bit, but I mean, I'm my own worst enemy, to be honest with you.
well, and you have a good support system around you. So, and that's another thing is that this is a hard lifestyle. It's not for everybody, and everybody can't cut it. And you see so many fighters retiring well
Mhm.
beyond when they should, or retiring too soon because they can't. It seems like they don't have that support system, or that person saying, "Hey, I think you've still got it in you." So, talk
Yeah.
about how important it is for your family to be a support for you, because this has been a long journey.
Yeah, before, I mean, yeah, it was so much harder before I found, I don't want to say I found my husband. Like, we've known each other for 8.5 years. I met him training, but before that, it was so hard to juggle everything, being a single mom and like not having that support system, because he refuses to let me even get like another part-time job to be able to help pay for like my recovery and stuff like that, because he would rather get another job on top of his job to help support me. And that's how much he loves me and how much he supports me truly. And my kids, they do the same thing. They do everything they can and understand completely when I have to miss trainings and stuff like that, even though I still feel like shit sometimes.
Well, you're a
I
mom.
really
It's
do.
gonna.
I do. I hate missing anything, but I'm only one person. I can't fit everything in. So, but they're all so understanding, and it's so important to have that. And the coaches, just having them there pushing me through, like, I've I've at one time thought, like, me trying to push through those two last fights with Bellator. I
Mhm.
was so all the bullshit that I was going through health wise and mental. It was, I almost wanted, like, I even was like, I can't believe I'm mad thinking that I might want to stop. Like, I was mad thinking about what, because I'm not. There's no way in hell that I'm gonna give up. That there's no give up in me, but me having that thought pissed me off. Like,
Spoken like a true martial artist. Like, let's be
it's
honest here.
so hard. It's so hard. This, like you said, this sport is unforgiving. It's, everyone has something to say. Everyone, judges when they won't even get into training or can't even do the training. So,
Yeah.
especially being a woman in a man's sport, it's a lot.
Well, and you just opened the door for, the next part of it, because, fighting in BKFC, there's a big, gigantic logo on the ring, and we've had a few, fighters take part in that. So I kind of wanted to see what your opinion on that was.
They're smart
Mainly
as hell for doing it.
there what?
Mm. They're smart as hell for doing it. Honestly, people always say, "Are you worried about like getting your face hurt, hit or whatever because you're pretty?" I said, "I don't give a shit about being pretty, but am I going to use it to my advantage? You damn right." Honestly, that is the only reason I started it, and I was told to start it, is because that that allows me to train more. That allows me to be able to pay for recovery. That allows everything. That's the reason why I started OnlyFans. Yeah.
I'm only laughing because you're like, that's the reason I did this. Like,
Yeah, everyone's like, well, if you had to choose one or the other, I'm like, fighting. But that's the
yeah,
reason why I started that,
yeah.
like,
Well,
be able to afford all of it.
and we're in an age where, unless you're, the bigger names, fighters still aren't getting paid what they should. You
Not
know,
at
should
all.
you have to be doing what you're doing? No. But it's not to say you don't enjoy it. And
Yeah.
it changed people's perspective, because I guarantee there are people who found you on one platform who went and watched you fight because they're like, I gotta see this. And vice
Yeah.
versa. So
Yeah, definitely. You know me, I'm open about everything. It doesn't make you a bad person to be more open about things and more, yeah, I'm a sexual woman. I'm happy and proud of it. Don't really care like if anyone doesn't like it. Like I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not hurting anybody. And it's okay for movie stars to sit there and do scenes on the movies and it not be considered, whorish or whatever. But OnlyFans is okay. That doesn't make any sense. But all right.
No, and it's funny. We were in a restaurant the other night, and the lady behind us was like, "So, what do you think about people with fans only? Fans
Fans
only?"
only.
And I was like, I'm just listening to the two of them talk behind me, and it
Never
was
heard
one of
that
those.
one.
Yeah, well, it was one of those things when Paige came over.
Hmm.
Paige was a good fighter. I'm not taking anything away from her, but Paige was a reason, brought into the sport to put eyes on it, and she is probably making more doing the OnlyFans and everything else than she was fighting, and that's
100%.
yeah.
100%.
And so I feel like BKFC kind of capitalizing on that and sponsoring, partnering with them. It's kind of genius. And I know a lot of people disagree, and I've probably had differing opinions on it. But realistically, if you look at the monetary value that's associated,
Hmm. I absolutely 100% agree. It was smart. It is smart. You're bringing every one of which is 99% men, which watch fighting, which love all of that, all
yeah.
the violence and the sex. Like those two things. I mean, that's the smartest move you can make, in my opinion. It's smart.
Well, and going on that, so have you run into any situations in the gym or in public where somebody sees you and they're like, oh my god, like in either venue, like you as the fighter or you as the perform we're gonna just say performer. Keep it.
Honestly, which really pisses me off, but I guess I'm funnier than I am talented. They they knew me more from TikTok. TikTok more than anything. Like I'll get fighting right after that, but TikTok. When I had like they took down my account, I had like 300,000 people on a TikTok, so it was really high up there. But of
Wow.
course they hate me, and yeah, I do some inappropriate shit. It's fucking funny, okay? It's funny. Like Karen's own TikTok, but um, I get more people saying like, "Oh, I love your TikToks." Oh, thanks.
You're like, that's not why I'm here. Oh.
I do it to bring in okay though, whatever.
So how many times has your TikTok been taken down? Just the once, or are we
Oh
going?
god, no, that one in particular, before it got taken down indefinitely, like without them getting it back up and me begging and pleading, it was probably 8 times. Yeah, just that one. I've had other ones. I had one that was at 50,000 taken down, one that was at 20,000. Yeah, they don't like me. I don't. I thought like I wasn't doing anything wrong, but whatever.
I mean, there's probably far worse things out there. Let's be honest here. Like,
Yeah, I see other creators though, other TikTok people and stuff like that doing the same shit. I'm like, well, I guess they just don't like me.
yeah.
I'm
What
not
was
doing it the way they want.
what was your funniest video? Like, what was the one that you were like really like?
This one, honestly, I did it as a joke. It was just like one of those stupid little jokes that I didn't even think was going to take off. And it got to like 4 million. That's probably what grew my account so much to like 300,000. And it was just like one that I was like, meow. Like that's all I did. I can't even remember the whole thing, but I was like, it was the stupidest thing ever. But that one is the one that took off most than ever.
Well, and honestly, I think it's the God, people are just gonna get upset when I say this. It's the attention span, and I kind of got in an argument with somebody the other day because we were talking about like kind of shortening the show and not doing the longer ones. And I said because people don't really have the same attention span, and you have TikTok to blame for that.
That is true. Honestly, you're right. There's not a lot of people that'll sit through a whole like 45-hour. Depending, I mean, if they're real fans, they will. They
Yeah,
will show the support. But you're right. The attention span's not there.
and
And
it's
you are
changed.
correct about TikTok.
Well, they were like, "Well, what about Joe Rogan? His show's 4 hours," and I was like, "You can't compare anybody to Joe Rogan. That's not fair at
Yeah,
all."
that's true. That's true. Once you get to Joe Rogan, like,
Yeah.
you'll be
Once you
fine.
get to Joe Rogan and you can do whatever you want for 4 hours, Joe Rogan could read the dictionary and people would be like, "Did you see that episode?"
You're right.
It was people would start using the words he said like completely wrong just because he said them.
Yeah, you
That
are
sounds
right.
that sounds like a Joe Rogan.
I think me being so open about everything, it hurts me as well as like sometimes there's two ends of the spectrum.
Mhm.
It can hurt me, for certain sponsors and stuff like that, and it can hurt me for different platforms to fight, different promotions. But I really just, I mean, I'm me. Take me or leave me. I don't really. It doesn't phase me.
No. But Connor McNugget, because I don't like saying his real name, so he doesn't get he can get away with just about anything. But again, it's that personality, and like you said. So was there? Now I'm curious. Was there a time where a promotion was like, "Hey, we saw this, we can't do that," or a
No, they've
sponsor that
actually
did it,
never
or
said anything. I mean, there was a couple sponsors that I have that are kind of like lifestyle sponsors that it's just like clothing stuff, but I guess they consider lifestyle sponsors within the adult industry, which is I don't see how that connection is made from I don't know. I guess I can see it a little bit, but Bellator didn't like that with the sponsors, but. So I couldn't have those on my banner and fight clothes. But other than that, I mean, they didn't really say anything, but you can tell that like
they
they
weren't a
didn't
fan?
really promote it. Yeah, they didn't like that kind of stuff. So,
Well,
but I saw like UFC Fight Pass. Like I have a friend of mine, a teammate Jamal. He's fighting this weekend. Or I'm sorry, Thursday. I always say this weekend because normally fights are on the weekend, but
yeah,
he's fighting for Cage Fury. And I mean,
CFFC,
their
yeah.
sponsor, yeah, their sponsor is the same OnlyFans. So I thought that was interesting because I didn't know if UFC really allowed that, but the Fight Pass, could be allowing more. I don't know.
I mean, Fight Pass kind of opened up. I had it for so long, and then it was like I wasn't watching anything. You ran out of stuff to watch back then.
Yeah,
Now I'm told there's so much stuff to watch that I'm like, I can't keep up. I can't keep up
they
with it.
definitely have added more for
Yeah.
sure.
So you're getting all the events there, but you're right. Like the UFC kind of dipped its toes in that one where they're like, well, it's not us, but they're pulling a lot of people from CFFC. They're pulling, you're seeing a lot of that, a lot more than the LFA days where they were a unofficial feeder league. Let's be honest. We were seeing a lot of that, and Ed Soares kind of, hey, this guy, and kind of pushing it through. So,
Yeah,
it's a big week for Tampa because you've got your teammates fighting. Alon Cruz is fighting in Hawaii, which is super cool.
nice.
Um, I think Blake Smith is fighting also in Hawaii because they're doing the 2 cards. So
Oh, that's
going
awesome.
back,
I would love to fight in Hawaii.
oh yeah, so would every UFC fighter, including Max Holloway. Which if
Yeah.
you watched that fight last weekend, that was terrifying.
Yeah. I didn't get to like I saw bits and pieces afterwards. I didn't get to. I don't always get to, unfortunately, with my my crazy schedule. But I try to, or I
Yeah.
look back on it.
It's gotten to a point where I'm like, I try to watch but I can't watch every event. So you go back and then you hear about this great fight and then you watch it. Like that's
You
how,
literally, you could turn on Facebook and it's like reel after reel after reel. You pretty much get caught up anyway.
yeah. Between that and I still think the
Post,
funniest thing I've seen had to be the Izzy picture that they posted after he did his like post fight celebration
yeah.
where he fell down. It was like, imagine your stream froze and this is what you came back to.
Oh God.
I was like, that was fantastic. So
It
I
was
know
good.
nothing's set in stone for July, but as far as BKFC, ideally, what weight class are we fighting at?
I'm only 145. I will not change that. So that's the only thing that because they don't really have a division for 45.
No, it's
But
making it a little bit harder for a fight.
it is. It is. But I refuse. Honestly, I have health conditions now that I did not have before that I refuse to put my body through a weight cut when I feel good walking around at 150. I feel amazing walking around between 150 and 155. That's pretty
Okay.
consistent. So I don't have to cut much, and I can be ready whenever to fight. So 45 is my division. I'm not going under.
I think BKFC would do really well to implement that division as a staple, just because I feel like the UFC kind of what's the PC term? Shit on it. There we go. Yeah. They built that around Cyborg. That's exactly what happened. And when Cyborg got beat, they went, okay, I guess we can get behind Amanda Nunes. And she's one of the greatest female fighters, if not the greatest female fighter that's ever lived. And I'm saying that over Ronda, and a lot of people will get upset, but
No,
the way
I
that
totally agree with you.
yeah, the way that Amanda dispatched Ronda and Misha and Cyborg just blew my mind because you've never seen a girl with power like that.
Yep.
And I feel like, for years, the heavier weight class, we're going to say heavier weight classes for females because it was kind of like the reverse. Think about the lighter guys divisions. Before the UFC acquired the WEC, that wasn't even that was an afterthought. Nope. The smallest weight class we're doing is 155. I feel like opening that door to, 55, and you're seeing it in PFL, you've got the 55ers, but doing like 45, 55, 65, you might have smaller divisions, but you might not. There's a lot of people out there who could probably fight and go, I can't cut from 175. Like, it's not going to happen.
Yep. I agree. I honestly, and there's a lot of older fighters that you can see they gradually go up. They're fighting at 115, then they get a little bit older, they go to 125. The older you get, the harder it is to cut weight, unless you're on steroids, which 70% of the freaking MMA. I'm sorry, but like MMA and jiu-jitsu, tell me that like 75% of people are whatever. I'm not. So I'm
glad we cleared that up.
Like that. I'm luckily, like, I was born strong. Like, I got like good strength for a girl. I was born with like, already being strong. So I would be fearful of me on steroids. Like, oh my, I'm already batshit as it is. Adding in steroids would be like the worst thing ever. Like, it would be so bad. I would be in prison super fast. I don't know.
Oh God.
I do think that a lot of people are on them, but and that's unfortunately the older I've gotten, I've got hypothyroid. So that alone makes it harder for me to cut weight. So I'm telling you right now, I'm just not doing it. I feel great. Like right now I'm 155 and I'm lean. Like, so I'm good where I'm at. And I don't need to do a huge cut to 35. And I know I'm a small 45er. Like, if you see all the girls that I fought in Bellator, those bitches were like way up there. Like, I'm always like looking up to them like, what's up? I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Because even at my best at 45, I felt good.
So BKFC 45, MMA still 45 or 55 or
45 for everything.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm an open, like when I said open contractor, this is the first time in my career that I'm actually not contracted. I've been with Bellator for so many years. Like when I think it was my third pro fight or fourth pro fight that I, got signed with Bellator, which was really fast.
Yeah.
And I've been with them for a long time. And then I got out of that to do, the end of the year BKFC. And I was only a 1-fight contract with them. So then I was like, I took a trip for my anniversary, came back, and I was like, well, shit, I'm an open contractor. I might want to put that out there, because I can be ready right now. Like, I can get a fight at last minute. So I just wanted to put it out there.
Yeah. So we're going to change your nickname to Open Contract. Like, let's go.
There you go. Yeah, Jessica, the open contractor. I kind of like that. That sounds good.
And that works in both realms.
You're right.
Bravo. Oh, I hope my parents don't watch this one.
I can be open if you wanna.
So, let's say it's January. What's your ideal year? Where do you want to fight? Who do you like? What would you want to do if you had your way and was able to pick what you were doing for the year? Oh, obviously, God. MMA. Yeah, I know. It's a tough one.
Yeah, it is, because I honestly just want to fight as often as I can. I want to get as much experience in as I can. I just also, like you said, I have a family. So, I need to, make make good money and not
Yeah.
take such a pay cut from what I was getting. So, you know, I've got to be kind of picky about like the promotion, because I'm not gonna like, come on, take a fight for like $1,000. That's like that's
No, not
that's a huge
not
pay
after
cut.
being on the stage, and I feel like you've kinda got that going, even like you said, with the run in Bellator not going exactly the way you wanted, but dealing with the health issues, and that being clearly documented. It's not you know, you're not just saying, "Oh, I hurt my foot," but there's no evidence of that,
No,
you
I'd
know?
still fight with a hurt foot. Fuck that. I mean, I
Yeah,
still fought with everything that I went through. So
exactly. So, I think the market's out there and, you know, having a coach, like I said, like Professor Ross Kellen, who's I will never forget the first time I met Ross. I was actually photographing an event and he was the referee and he stood in front of me. And
did you get mad?
all of a sudden he looked behind him and he saw like my face of just like move.
You didn't even move, bitch.
And as soon as he saw me, he took a step to the left and I went, "Oh, so he understands." And we talked afterwards and that was really when I met him and I think that had to be circa 2013. So we're going on 10 years.
Oh, that was
And
before me.
yeah, and I remember any fight I would shoot, he would find me. He would look around and he would find me. And at the time, I really had no idea how prevalent and how important he was to the jujitsu, the MMA community in the area when I first met him because I was just getting into this. I didn't know anything about it. And he
Hmm.
would find me and he would make sure not to stand in front of me during any of the fights. So it was a
See,
pretty
I would
cool thing.
appreciate that.
Man, I miss that guy. I gotta come out there. I keep saying I'm gonna come out there. It's like an hour and a half, so it's harder to make some of those earlier classes. But
Yeah.
um, I know he came and taught a seminar at our dojo. God, it was probably about a year ago now. I can't even keep track of time. And it's just so much fun to learn from him because I'm also a bigger guy, and learning from him, he doesn't move like a big guy.
No, he doesn't.
He moves like a lightweight, and it scared the shit out of me. 'Cause
Well, that's another thing is like the older we get too, you know, the more, especially being a fighter, if you have a fight coming up or whatever, you have to pick and choose who you roll with, who you train with. And that's another thing that's like hard for some people's ego,
yeah,
including my like I don't always, especially when the guy's like, "What are you scared? I will murder you." Like I don't have to prove that. Like I will jack you up, kid. But it is hard. It is hard. That kind of stuff is hard. Getting older, just in general.
yeah. And we talked about that on one of the last episodes. So I had Juan from Fat Boy Jiu Jitsu, and Juan and I, you know, we're about the same size, and at one point, and you know, we've been that guy where they're like, okay, you can train with him, not him, sorry, not him, not him, and you're like, man, and then you go, oh, it's because they're fighting people at 165, and I'm definitely not 165, so
Yeah, that's why I honestly don't go with much heavier people that's over like 190, 200. There's just no point in me doing like, there's just no point. I mean, if they're higher level belts, you know, and they're, you know, working on their back or something like that, we'll do that. But most of the time, I stick with
well,
my weight class.
you have a black belt now. You can't do that anymore. You got to fight everybody. That's how that
Oh,
works.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, actually, now that I have a black belt, I can pick and choose whoever the hell I want to. I
We
can
had a
say no.
good we had a good one of my previous episodes, I think it was episode 49, where we talked about like the difference in dojos because there's some dojos where like you walk in to cross train and you ask, you know, a black belt to roll and they're like, "Oh, absolutely not. You can't do that." So it
Yeah,
was
ours don't. You can't
yeah.
ask a black belt. Yeah, you're not
So
supposed to.
but it's interesting because you'll get some dojos that's a complete no and other ones where they're like, "Oh, I don't care." You know,
Yeah.
but you kind of go in and you have that respect and you have to, you know, now I'm just gonna bring it all back to Rob Kahn and you know him pushing Hoist over when they were all talking.
I
I
love
still
man. I met Hoist at my first fight with Bellator, and he is awesome. He loves
he's
my arm bars.
hilarious.
So, yeah, he's hilarious. Actually didn't know it was him. He was in. I was trying to check my weight on the scale, and which I mean, I knew I was on. You know, like I was pretty much on weight. But he was bent over, and I thought he was one of the fighters that was just getting unclothed to get on the scale to check their weight. And I was like, "Do you mind if I cut in front of you?" And he's like, yeah, no, that's fine. It was Hoist, and I didn't even know it was him. Like, I kind of just like pushed him out. Excuse me.
Yeah,
Get out of here,
out
Hoist.
of my way, sir. That's really messed up, but that's a funny story. Like,
yeah, my husband actually turns it into a different story and says, I told Hoist, get out of the way, old man. Out with the old, in with the new. I'm like, that's not what happened.
you're like, no, I didn't. I did not say that to Hoist. No.
I did not make the godfather of MMA, pretty much. Like, get off the scale. No.
Well, and for him to appreciate your armbar is kind of a big deal because he's very particular about his.
Him wanting a picture with me after and like saying like that armbar was awesome. That was like one of the best moments of my life. So
perfect. So I will save this moment. So obviously we've got the open contract going, but take the moment to talk about the sponsors that you have, that have helped you kind of get through, the support system you have, everyone who's helped you out. This is your platform at this moment. So, take that time to tell us how you're still here.
Honestly, my team coach and everyone that's pushed me from the get-go. Champions MMA, Warrior Combat and Fitness Academy, that's my strength and conditioning. Lights Out Boxing is my boxing. Gary has been an amazing coach, especially getting me, into the boxing. So I really appreciate that. My family is the hugest support system. My husband mainly putting up with me is trip enough. But my sponsors, my chiropractic center of Lakeland, they put me back together. I literally joke around about being Humpty Dumpty. They put me back together again all the time. So I got B&L Tires that's been with me since the get-go. I have got my two sponsors that are clothing sponsors that are, which some places didn't like, but the Secret Society and Eye Candy. They're amazing as well. Their lifestyle, and I'm open about that. So Otis 12 Bar and Grill. My photographer Kelly Somerville, she's amazing. Roadhog, he's amazing. Been with me. I know Kelly does just amazing work. Plus, she's my best friend, so I gotta give her a shout out. I feel like I'm missing some sponsors, but
you could shoot them to me. Like if you think of something, send it over.
I'll have to shoot them to you because I usually have my paper out in front of me, but
you literally came from training and like I saw
executive protection, and he's been amazing too.
There you go. And I mean, I'm pretty sure like 45 minutes ago you were still running with your boys and like still doing stuff. So you literally down to the wire like have this planned out. So I want to make sure we stay on that schedule. So
thank you.
For myself, we've got La Barba Cubana, Amazing Beard Care, Fatboy BJJ. If you guys go over to Fatboy BJJ, use the promo code Quiggin Out. He's doing a 10% off. So that's really exciting for me just because, we just had him on the show and he's already, jumped right on board. At Tim _makes knives on Instagram. Bertzo's Bake Shop, amazing baked goods in Orlando. And the last two sponsors, we've got the Tales of a Concert Junkie. I think you'll actually be a fan of a lot of those because it's kind of your thing. It's kind of in your face. It's kind of that. And there's a lot of stuff about mental health too. So I think it's really important. Use that promo code Quiggin Out for 15% off. And then if you need any gear, go to Rev Gear. Rev Gear's got an extensive collection of stuff and they've got a promo code also Quiggin Out. So on behalf of myself, Combat Press, the Quiggin Out MMA podcast, Jessica Borga, it's been a pleasure. I really appreciate you coming on and kind of opening that up, knowing you're an open book, but still, throwing out those questions and letting everybody know what's going on. So thank you so much for your time and have a great night.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Hey guys, don't forget to hit the subscribe, little bell, keep you up to date on all things Quiggin Out. Thanks again.